Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to get a quick update on where we are with Coastwatchers. I've been doing quite a bit of design, editing, back and forth on where I want to go with this. But basically, what we have here is some more paragraphs. I won't get into too much of the details of these, but I'm going to break the book into, right here you see 4 chapters, but I'm going to actually make this 3 chapters. So chapter 1 I'm calling Arrival. Now, there were a number of ways that Coastwatchers kind of began their career. The original Coastwatchers were in place prior to the war. Many of them were district managers on these local islands. And when the war broke out, they were already doing, kind of had their radars, they were set up for just kind of an early warning system, was what the Coastwatchers were basically for Australia. I'm oversimplifying it to some degree, but they were already in place. And then when the war came, some of them stuck around. Next thing you know, they're behind enemy lines. That's one way. Another way was, after the war had started, there were decisions made that Coastwatchers were needed in certain areas to gather information based on where the Japanese were based. And many times these Coastwatchers were dropped off by submarine at an island at night. And they had to, disembark a submarine, take a bunch of supplies, paddle to shore, which isn't necessarily easy at nighttime. Strong currents, potential encounters with the Japanese, both on the shore and destroyers and other craft. If they didn't have charts to get from where they were in the ocean to the beach, they might have to go through the breakers over the reef and deal with that. And that was quite an adventure. Then once you get to shore, all this had to be done under the cover of darkness, right? And if they weren't able to disembark, cover whatever distance they needed to cover, get ashore, get all their supplies up into the bush, they could then be discovered daybreak by aircraft and potential seabound and land patrols. So I thought that unto itself is almost a mini game. Being able to disembark, make that journey, get to the beach, get into the bush, set up your camp. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2, which here says chapter 3, but it's because I'm going to get rid of this one, is the mission. This is going to be where we'll have a turn structure, various events, random events, decisions that you make. You'll be managing your Coastwatcher, dealing with rescuing down pilots, getting your intelligence reports out, dodging Japanese patrols, maybe engaging in combat to some degree, building your relationship with the natives. All of that, the core gameplay, will be under the mission part. And the goal is to have quite a few of these activities or events or missions to really give the book some replayability, because conditionally we'll go to the 3rd chapter, which I'm calling Departure. Okay, so we go to the 3rd chapter called Departure. And this is successfully getting off the island, which would be the end game. All right, so we have chapter 1, Arrival, chapter 2, the mission, chapter 3, Departure. And again, with chapter 3 being conditional, you may be doing your missions, or chapter 2, the mission, right? And conditions are met that force a departure. And so the idea being that you won't be able to do all the encounters that are in the book, so that you can get some replayability. So the second time you play, the third time you play, maybe the fourth time, but I really want to have, I'm looking to design at least 3 good sittings where you can sit down and feel like you're playing the game. You get a good game experience. You learn about the Coastwatchers and at least get 3 plays out of it. Now, because there'll be some randomness beyond the 3, you should still be able to sit down and play the game. And there'll be enough random stuff happening in the sequence of things that they'll be unique. Although after a while, I mean, like with anything like this, if you played enough, you're going to know it all inside and out. But the goal is to get at least 3 good replays in the game. Like I said, just a quick update where we are. And you can see the number of paragraphs here on the arrival. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. So I've got quite a bit of fiction to write here. Some encounters, how these are all going to play out. And this is probably going to change slightly, but this is my core structure, my first pass on Chapter 1. And I'll scroll over here real quick, and there you go. This is the supply drop one still. And that's just one of the adventures. There's going to be quite a few. And I'm already at like 40-some of these paragraphs. Now, some of these paragraphs might be a whole page. Some of them may be relatively small. Again, I'm going to try very hard not to just have a few sentences in a paragraph. I want this to be as narrative as I can make it, so that it tells a good story and it feels engaging and not just rolling on some charts and going from paragraph to paragraph that's very thinly written. We'll see how successful I am on that. Again, I'm sure I'm going to have some paragraphs that will be very short and others hopefully will be engaging. Anyway, that's kind of the update of where we are currently. I'm hoping that I can really flesh out Chapter 1, Arrival. And again, the gameplay in Chapter 1 and Chapter 3, The Departure, is going to be much different than the core Chapter 2, The Mission. And that's because you've got a couple of hours that you have to get through Chapter 1 before things really get bad, where obviously in Chapter 2, when you're doing your mission, things are going to go on for maybe a day, a week, maybe even 2 weeks. Moving camp took some effort. Anyway, as always, guys, I appreciate you taking time to check out what we do here on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Goodbye for now.